2050 is hurtling towards us like a freight train. And although the year 2050 once seemed like a distant future with hover cars and space travel, it's now close enough for us to make realistic predictions about the specific changes that will shape the United States. In today's video, we bring you the 5 geographic events that will impact the US by 2050. Population. In the next few decades, the United States is set to have a much larger population, with estimates from the US Census suggesting it could reach between 400 and 440 million by 2050. This is a significant increase from the current 332 million Americans. The rise, ranging from 17% to 25%, is mainly due to a declining birth rate, longer life expectancy, and immigration from other countries. This growth has two major implications. First, the average age of Americans is expected to rise by 2050, with over 20% being over 65 years old. Second, the new additions to the population will be more diverse than the current demographic, as most migrations is anticipated to come from Asia, Africa, and Central America. Consequently, the US will evolve into a nation without a majority race. However, this growth in diversity won't be uniform across all states. California is projected to remain the most populous state by 2050, with over 49 million residents, followed by Texas, Florida, and New York. Meanwhile, some states like Pennsylvania, Illinois, Michigan, Connecticut, Vermont, and others are expected to see a decline in population, unless global factors encourage people to move northward. Climate change. In the past decade, we've started to experience the initial impacts of climate change, with hotter summers, prolonged forest fires, melting glaciers, and rising oceans. These effects are causing livability challenges, particularly in the southern regions, which will bear the brunt of these changes before the northern areas. While no place is entirely immune to climate change, it's anticipated that states like California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and other southwestern states will face water shortages. Simultaneously, the melting ice sheets in the North and South Poles will lead to rising oceans, affecting Gulf Coast states, Florida, and much of the eastern seaboard. As these regions become more challenging to inhabit, people are likely to move to areas with fewer climate-related problems. One such region is expected to be the Great Lakes area of the United States, where Buffalo, New York is projected to be one of the safest cities in the contiguous US regarding climate change risks. The Great Lakes, holding about 21% of all surface fresh water, make the region relatively secure from anticipated prolonged droughts. Current population estimates suggests a migration towards states like Texas, Florida, and Georgia, but this is based on current trends. Considering the looming impact of climate change, many immigrants and others may choose the northern states. These predictions have significant implications for reshaping the United States, yet they come with a high degree of variability. External factors, such as potential changes in immigration policies or global responses to climate change, could alter these outcomes. The next 3 predictions, however, are probably more likely to happen. But before we get to the next 3 predictions, let us know if you're enjoying this video by hitting that like button. HighSpeed Rail. The United States has long discussed high-speed rail, but little progress has been made so far, except for some small sections of Amtrak's Acela service in the Northeast Corridor. However, significant changes are expected by 2050. The well-known California high-speed rail, infamous for its delays, is projected to commence full service from Los Angeles to San Francisco in 2033. An additional Phase 2 is being planned, connecting Sacramento and San Diego, linking all major California cities by a high-speed rail. 2 other high-speed rail projects are in advanced stages of development: the Texas Central High-Speed Rail from Houston to Dallas, and the Florida Bright Line extension connecting Miami to Orlando. These are anticipated to be completed well before 2050. With 3 primary high-speed rail examples operating by 2030, more projects are likely to emerge across the country. By 2050, additional high-speed passenger train services are expected to facilitate rapid rail transportation within key regions. In the Pacific Northwest, a high-speed rail line is being considered to connect Portland, Oregon to Vancouver, British Columbia via Seattle. In California, a high-speed rail route from Las Vegas to Los Angeles should either be complete or nearing completion. The Southeast might see a realized route connecting Atlanta to Washington, D.C. via Charlotte. In Chicago, considered the train capital of the country, there could be the first ever high-speed rail hub connecting the city of Minneapolis, St. Louis, Indianapolis, Cleveland, and Detroit. Due to the speed and convenience of high-speed rail, coupled with ongoing changes in land use, the US is likely to experience a shift in city development. In places like New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, and San Francisco, cities have typically followed a common development pattern over the past century. Even in these cities, their suburbs often resemble suburbs across the country more than they do the core cities. In essence, most metropolitan areas in the United States feature a small downtown core with skyscrapers, followed by a sprawl of low-density buildings, single-family homes, and large retail stores. A development pattern in existence since the early 1900s, driven by zoning laws permitting extensive single-family home construction. While this model was effective in the 1900s, it's showing its age in the 2000s. Increased urbanization has led to more people living in cities, and states recognize the challenge of accommodating sufficient housing within city limits. Consequently, there has been a surge in housing costs across metropolitan regions nationwide. To address this, states like Maine, Oregon, Washington, and California have implemented laws allowing diverse housing types within cities. Oregon, for instance, mandated cities to permit duplexes, triplexes, and quadplexes in residential zones that previously allowed only single-family houses. This requirement extends to all incorporated cities in the state, not just larger ones like Portland and Eugene. As these laws take effect over the coming decades, cities will undergo noticeable changes. While Portland may not transform into a replica of New York City, it is expected to become denser and more vibrant. With 4 states already leading in this approach, it's likely that more states will adopt progressive zoning structures to maintain affordable housing for their residents. Trees. The United States has ambitious plans to significantly increase tree planting. Currently, the country is losing more trees each year due to factors like urbanization, wildfires, and the forestry industry. However, there's a potential for a major shift in this trend. The U.S. Department of Agriculture aims to add an additional 1 billion trees to its collective forests by 2030. While this may not seem substantial, it's equivalent to adding a forest the size of Connecticut. Trees remain the most effective way to capture carbon, crucial for mitigating the effects of climate change. This initiative is set to continue until 2030, and if the U.S. maintains its current pace, it could potentially plant 4 billion new trees by 2050, creating a forest closer in size to Vermont and New Hampshire combined. This abundance of trees not only provides more natural areas for wildlife, but also enhances carbon sequestration. While predicting the future is uncertain, there's hope that positive developments will occur and challenges will diminish, especially with ongoing efforts to bolster tree planting. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned some of the possible geographic events that are predicted to change the US by 2050. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.